Hey guys, my name's Ina and I'm 28 years old and I have late stage Lyme disease, or also known as chronic Lyme disease. I also have some co-infections like Babesia and a few other things, but I just usually lump it under Lyme so that it's easier for people to understand. Lyme is complicated enough for people to understand, but I started this, or I'm starting this YouTube channel to kind of document my journey with Lyme disease and to help spread a positive message on how to smile and live your life while you feel like your life is on hold, which it pretty much is. But I just want to share how it's possible to still live and be happy while you're sick. A little bit of my background. Okay, sorry this is going to be long, and I'm sorry if I have pauses or interruptions. My brain is not completely functioning today, but I wanted to get this video done. So, okay, my story. So I don't really know exactly when I was bit. We first thought I was bit when I was around 3 years old because that's kind of like the timeline of my autoimmune issues. Had shingles in first grade, really fucking weird, and a few other things going on. But we just traced it back to where I really believe it's this. I remember that I got a bullseye rash right under my right boob, like over my ribs, when I was in 7th grade. And my mom believed that it was ringworm. So I think she made an appointment with the doctor, and then the rash just disappeared before the appointment, so we never ended up going. Shortly after that, I did get really sick. I got a really, really bad flu. But we just now put that two and two together. It's kind of a discovery in its own. But basically after that, it was fine. Like, I got a really bad flu. It started manifesting itself in ovary issues. And this was when I was like 12, 13, 14. But I was okay, you know? I learned to deal with it. I went to many doctors. I had a lot of gut issues. They told me I had IBS and gastritis, and I do, but there was an underlying issue. And I had endoscopies done and whatever. I was in a lot of doctor's offices, and I think I got to the point where I was fine, you know? I had my issues, but I was okay. It was manageable. Then when I went to college in 2010, I was hospitalized. Actually, I was in 3 different hospitals because I had such severe bloating and pain. Like, it was almost like a little ball was raised over my left ovary area. Felt like a ruptured cyst, but no one was listening to me. And I'm kind of really, like, I like to stick it out. I don't never like to be dramatic or whatever, because as a kid I was always told that I was either trying to get out of school or, I don't know, just didn't want to do my homework, so that's why I was sick, when all along I've had immune issues.
But anyways, I ended up, the only reason I went to the hospital was because I was Skyping with my friend at the time, and she had tears in her eyes, and she was like, if you don't go to the hospital, I'm sending my sister to go pick you up. She was living in a different country at the time. And I was like, okay, maybe I should go. Ended up being in and out of hospitals for a month, had to miss school for a month, which was really hard for me, but still, they couldn't find anything.
Finally, towards the end of that month, they found blood in my cul-de-sac from a ruptured cyst. And yeah, that was kind of frustrating, but at least we had answers. The pain never left. And sorry, I'm trying to make this as short as possible. Then the pain never left. I was bleeding for 12 weeks, or almost 12 weeks. It was crazy. They told me my ovaries were depressed. I mean, maybe that's a real thing, but I've been through depression before and I know how it manifests itself in me, and that's not how it's manifested itself in me personally. So I ended up graduating from college and getting a job in Los Angeles. So I moved out there, and I was kind of just trying to deal with everything. And I was sick. I was sick all the time. I got bronchitis 4 times that year. I had never had bronchitis before in my life. And I was exhausted all the time. But I pushed through, you know? And I kept trying to see specialists, but no one could figure out what was wrong. So I kind of was just like, whatever, I'll deal with it. Fast forward, switched jobs, and the pains, like my stomach issues were just getting worse and worse and worse. And by this point I had developed allergies to dairy, eggs, so, apples, gluten, and that was it then. Now I've cut out a lot more fruit, but that's a whole different video. But so I was just kind of like going to different specialists, trying to figure out what was wrong with my stomach and why I was always in pain. And I won't go into too much detail, but just a lot of stomach issues and perpetual nausea. And I had other symptoms, but I didn't consider them symptoms at the time. I just thought that's how normal people felt. Like I just thought that's how everyone felt. Like severe clumsiness. I mean, walking into walls and like sliding glass door, just all the time, and bumping into things and falling over and whatever. That's a whole list of things. But then I lost my job. They were taking out that department. And I think the stress from that just completely allowed the bacteria to take over my body. The bacteria that had been sitting there for, let's assume it was when I was 12, when I remember the rash. And this was like 24, 25. So around 13 years, but just living inside of me, waiting for the day to pop out. So it all started popping out. My knees started giving out randomly. My hands, I couldn't make a fist. My range of motion was this, like legitimately no more than that. Now it's a little bit better, thankfully. I can close it, but I can't make a tight fist. But all of these things started happening, and I had an idea, and it sounded like arthritis. So I started researching online, and I happened to, like, the first thing that popped up was a correlation between one of the medicines that I was taking and arthritis and lupus-like symptoms. So I called my GI, told him, and he was like, okay, we'll wean you off of this medicine. Don't worry, the symptoms will be gone in 2 weeks or something. Well, the symptoms never left, and they kept getting worse and worse and worse. So he recommended me to an RA. The RA tried to put me on steroids, which with Lyme disease is a terrible idea. So thank God I listened to my gut in that moment, because I don't know if I'd be here. It's a terrible mix. I fainted in his office. It was bad. So, long story short, long story long, I ended up finally meeting, or getting recommended to this doctor called Dr. Whiteman, a part of Holtorf Medical Group in Los Angeles. And they ended up telling me that I had chronic fatigue syndrome and a slew of other issues. They had me on vitamins, like on IV vitamins and hydrogen peroxide, like I think it was 3 times a week for something like 6 or 8 hours a day. It was intense. And the hydrogen peroxide was because they found that I had such terrible candida that it had reached my bloodstream. So it was pretty intense. And then, well, once I was there, the doctors started realizing I wasn't getting better, right? And with chronic fatigue syndrome, I should have already been getting better. So the doctor pulled me aside one day while I was getting IV, and he said, I have a feeling you have Lyme, but the test, like the only reliable test, is very expensive and it's out of pocket only. But I really think that's what you have, and I think that you should get tested. And immediately my mom, thankfully, was like, I don't care how much it costs. Like, we are testing this. If you think this is what she has. So it takes, I think it's 10 or 12 weeks, because it's a culture or whatever. And by that point, I had already had to move back to Miami because I couldn't function. Like, I couldn't do a lot of things, like squeeze toothpaste onto my toothbrush or make myself food or walk most days. So, I had already moved back home. When he called me, I was so relieved to have an answer, to not hear, "You're crazy, you're just making this up," or all these things. I knew that it was going to be tough. He kept telling me it's not easy. It's going to be a long road to remission. But I felt so relieved knowing something. Like, I knew it was going to be tough. I didn't imagine it was going to be this tough at all. I thought I would beat this in like 6 months. That was 2014. February is when I was diagnosed, and I'm making this video in December of 2016. So, didn't really go exactly how I planned. But I've learned to enjoy the process and to love every single day and be happy every single day, no matter what the day's like. No matter if I'm laying in bed smiling, watching a funny movie with my dogs, or here's one. Here's Bella, and that's all. Or if I'm actually able to go outside and, I don't know, drive to the beach for 20 minutes or whatever. So, sorry, I have like a red patch. Okay. So yeah, that's kind of the process of what happened. So it feels like I've been sick forever at this point. But I did have a childhood. I did have fun in college, which I'm so grateful for because I really lived during college. And now when I'm stuck in bed, I know I'm not missing out. So I'm okay, you know? It sucks. Sure, I'd like to be with my friends and I'd like to do normal things, but this is my life and that's fine. I just have to make the best out of it. But I kind of wanted to go through a list of the symptoms that someone with Lyme disease, or me in particular, some of the symptoms that I've actually experienced and experience today still. So it started off with arthritis. So knees, hips, every joint in my body hurts all the time. My jaw, like, is in constant pain. So TMJ, my teeth are very, very sensitive. My legs give out. That was a little hard to get used to at the beginning, but I just laugh now whenever it happens. And I laugh at most things that happen to me. It's better than crying. And okay, so then muscle pain. Like, it feels like I'm bruised internally all over. And then randomly you get like these stabbing pains or punching pains or like burning sensations just randomly, completely out of nowhere. I could be feeling fine. Like, not fine technically, but like on a 1 to 10 scale of pain, I'm a 6, right? So I'm fine for me. And all of a sudden, like, my leg will start burning and itching out of nowhere, but like in the middle of the night while I'm asleep. So that's weird. The spasms or contractions, or I don't know what the muscle contractions, I don't know what they are, but my neck just automatic, like out of nowhere. So this spasms and I'm like that, and like I get stuck, and then it shoots all the way behind my head, all the way up my head, and it paralyzed, like the whole left side of my face becomes paralyzed temporarily for anywhere from 30 seconds to a few minutes of just like can't move, and it's like stuck and in so much pain, and I just have to press on different points to try and alleviate it. That's probably one of the worst symptoms. Perpetual nausea. I am always nauseous. Always. Yeah, always. I just live in a constant state of nausea. And most of the time my stomach hurts also. So those are two really not fun, not really fun things to deal with, but whatever. Aside from that, I get muscle spasms. So randomly, like my muscles in my arm will just like start like contracting and like it's really painful. Last night, I was woken up in the middle of the night from excruciating pain in my legs and burning down my legs. And this is what happened right afterwards. My arm, neck, shoulders, and hand went into full contraction or spasm mode. I'm not sure. But I was stuck like this for around 45 minutes and could not move my fingers. And it was so excruciating. It's just one example of the unexplained spasms or contractions in my muscles. Shaky spells where just like my hands just won't stop shaking, or I just drop shit. Like, oh my god, I've broken way too many cups. Thankfully, I haven't broken that many because I like am uber cautious about how I like pick things up and all of that fun stuff. But there's a lot of symptoms. It's chronic headaches, chronic migraines, blurred vision, double vision. That's weird. Floaters, which are like these little like imagine in your vision you have little black dots just kind of like floating by. It's really weird, and I didn't know. Like I thought everyone's vision looked like that until recently when I mean thanks to this amazing community. That's the best, like the only good thing about Lyme disease is this incredible community of people who are fighting every single day and who are dedicated to sharing their stories and helping each other out, since it's like the medical community's kind of left us to fend for ourselves. So, but back to the floaters. They're really weird, and they're like little dots that go across your eye. It's weird. It's also just like really staticky. So I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it, but just imagine your vision is staticky, right? So like a very opaque version of a static TV, like very, very opaque, but you can see it, and it could annoy you if you let it, but whatever, you get used to it. There's the craziest one for me is depersonalization, which I never talked about with anyone. I just kind of sat with it and tried not to give it any attention because it was scary as fuck. I'll make another video about that, but basically, like, I knew that things were happening around me and conversations were real, but like as you're talking to me, like I'm not there. Like I'm not listening. I can't focus on what you're saying. I don't After the conversation, I don't even remember it. I don't feel like things are real. It's hard to describe. I'm going to make a whole other video about it. So just watch out for that video if you care to know more about depersonalization. And more. I don't really know what it's classified under. I'm just finding out that there's a name for it and that there's other people who have dealt with it. Heart pain. Oh my god. The scariest part is that because people don't always believe in Lyme disease, and in Miami even worse because apparently you can't get Lyme in Florida. But anyways, because of that, it's really hard to make the decision of whether to go to the emergency room or not, because you don't know if they're just going to tell you that you're crazy or you're making this shit up or whatever. It's happened before. So I remember one time in particular laying on my floor in my room, clutching my chest in so much pain and like dizzy, numb. My whole arm was numb. It was really bad. And I didn't go to the emergency room because I didn't want to be called crazy. So we did some natural remedies at home and that helped. And yeah, helped enough for me to sleep and wake up the next day. And I've dealt with many times of my heart, like it feels like my heart, I don't know what it is, but my chest gets really tight, really painful. I clutch, I can't breathe, my arm goes numb, and lots of times I faint. Pretty much nightly for a while, I was either fainting or about to faint and ended up like laying down with my legs up in time for me not to faint. Um, yeah, the heart issues are scary. But dealing with doctors is pretty miserable when they don't believe with what you have, or I don't know. I don't know how you can't believe it. Like, what do you think, I'm sitting here and lying to you? I don't understand that, but that's a different video. Pain behind my right shoulder blade. I've had that pain since at least 2011. It feels like there's a ball back there and it's so fucking painful. And it shoots up my neck, up the right side of my neck. All of this is always in pain. A few ribs that are constantly sliding out of place because no muscle mass. Air hunger. That one's weird, and I mean, I can live with it, but it started getting really bad at one point, and that one's caused mostly by babesia. I believe it could be by Lyme also. I don't know. I don't try and like figure out every single symptom, because if I did, as you can tell, I've listed a very long list of symptoms, and that's not even all of them. So I would be spending all of my time just worrying about all the symptoms instead of trying to find reasons to smile and laugh despite the symptoms. So yeah, the air hunger is like, I would randomly just not be able to breathe, or I would like gasp out of nowhere and not be able to breathe, like just right now, just like and then it like gets stuck, and then you just like that, and then you can't breathe for 30 seconds, and then it's fine, and then you can breathe, and it's weird. But it would happen consecutively, like every minute or every couple minutes, and I get shortness of breath, I get tight, like my chest always feels like something's like sitting on my chest, and just pressing really hard, like right here. Pain right under my rib cage, my kidneys hurt a lot, liver, pancreas. The list is very long, but I kind of wanted to go through everything so that you can see what Lyme disease brings. And this isn't even all of the symptoms. Some people get seizures, which thankfully I have never gotten seizures. I've gotten a bunch of other things, twitching, weird spasming, and slurring, and just weird things, but thankfully I have not gotten seizures yet, and I hope I never do, because I just really hope I never do. So, but there are many other symptoms that I haven't covered here that I experience and that other people experience that I just can't remember right now. Memory loss is a huge one. I used to remember everything. I can't remember if I meditated this morning. I can't remember people that I was friends with, or how I met people. And it's really embarrassing, because when I see them out and they come and say hi to me, and I'm like, hi, nice to meet you, and I can see in their face disappointment, like, oh my God, this girl's such a bitch. But I just honestly don't remember anything. So yeah, that's tough. But yeah, I wanted to list these symptoms to show you that this is what an invisible disease looks like. My goal is to help show what an invisible disease looks like, what chronic Lyme disease looks like. It's a lot of time spent under these covers and it's a lot of time spent at the doctor's office, and soon it'll be a lot more medicine, a lot more treatment. Right now I'm doing a lot of treatments, but I'm trying to add in more. It's just really expensive, but just trying to figure all that out. But soon it's going to be even more intense. So I want to document everything for you to just do my part in sharing my story and spreading awareness on late stage or chronic Lyme disease, but also to help spread positivity and hope and teach all of you that we can live our lives and we can be happy. And we don't have to wait until the day we're cured. We can live through the pain. We're living through the pain. Let's make it fun. Let's make it happy. Let's make it enjoyable. At the very least, let's be happy. You know? We have to deal with so much other fucking shit in our lives. At the very least, let's be fucking happy. So yeah, I'm gonna be posting more videos, but I just wanted to give a little bit of my background because I forgot to do that in my first video. Sorry, Lyme brain. But I'm really excited about this new adventure I'm taking in the vlogging world. And I'm so excited to have you along for the ride, and whoever's new, I hope I can just help give you enough push or strength or inspiration to keep fighting one more day and to not give up and to find the silver lining in absolutely everything, even the really, really, really shitty moments. So if I can just help one person, that would be amazing. My goal is to help as many people in the world as I possibly can realize that they can live their lives now and that we can be happy despite pain and despite illness. So if you liked this, make sure to subscribe below. I'll be posting more videos, and if you have any topics that you want me to cover, make sure to leave them below because I'll read them and I'll cover them. And make sure to share this with a friend or two. My goal is, again, to reach as many people as I possibly can and help spread the message of living through this mess and turning this mess into a message, into something magical. So yeah, thank you for listening to me, and I am gonna try and speak with less ums and less likes and less brain fog, hopefully. Can't guarantee any of that. Sorry. That's Lyme.